Is Nikola Jokic a top 5 offensive player in NBA history? I've actually really gone back and forth with this because there are very few players historically that have the case of being the best passer, but also best scorer in the league. And what we've seen this postseason with him averaging 30 points on 63% true shooting is something that is so rare for a guy that isn't even a scorer at first. It's only something we talk about with LeBron James, that you can be a pass first player and yet this dominant as a scorer. We've had the comparisons, Jokic versus Embiid, but that's the thing. Embiid this year led the league in scoring 33 points per game, but it's the playoffs that really matter. Nikola Jokic's touch, the shots he was hitting versus the Suns and the Lakers, I want to pull him up right now. On AD, Devin Booker, he's one of the toughest shot makers in the league, but he makes it look so easy. I'm going to give you guys some players. But before I do that, what do you guys think about that at face value? Could he legitimately be in that discussion with the all-time legends offensively?
Can he? Yes, I think he definitely can be. And I'll take it even one step further. I think this postseason run right now, which I ultimately believe now he'll probably end with a championship, he's going to solidify himself as probably one of the greatest postseason performers of all time. Like I said, and I've said this many times on the show before, the guy puts up video game numbers, literally playing 2K on rookie mode. That is literally what it looks like when you read a stat sheet from a Denver Nuggets game and you look at Jokic. I don't think that's too far fetched to believe that he can be a top, what'd you say, top 5 offensive player of all time, right? Am I going to say that now because he's still so young? I'm probably not, just to show some respect for the people that actually put their whole careers to be on that list. But I think Jokic is well on his way.
Yeah, I think right at the end you hit it, Justin. Can he? Yeah. Am I ready to put him there yet? No. I've kind of this is something me personally that I've come to a realization about. Honestly, since starting this podcast with you guys, I am hereby done ranking players who are currently playing that haven't put in a very extended amount of time in all-time ranking lists, because I think it's unfair to the greats before them, and I think it's unfair to them, honestly, because we're looking at an unfinished product, and we should not look at and examine an unfinished product and put it against a product that has already been completed, that we can look at the entirety of a thing and look at the ups, the downs, and all those in betweens. We can't with an unfinished product. So that's for me personally. You guys can, and I maybe I'll play along with you guys too, because it's freaking sports and we love doing this shit, and it's just for fun. It's fun, good debates to get in, and you guys know I love a good debate. But just for like serious purposes, I know I got a little serious there on you guys, but I don't really want to engage in ranking like some people are saying Nikola Jokic is a top 15 player of all time if he wins a championship like that. I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. I can't do it.
No, I agree with you there. It feels very pushed by doing that in the middle of a playoff run. He hasn't finished yet. But when I ask you that question, I'm talking about peak for peak. Like Nikola Jokic at 28 years old leads the Nuggets in the playoffs in points, and I would imagine assists too, most likely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
Like, he's already the best Nugget of all time in his 9th season, which is crazy.
Yeah, we can talk skill and stuff, and 100%. We can go down the list if you want. I do believe. Is he the best passer in basketball? When you ask me that, a couple names obviously come to mind. LeBron James, Chris Paul to a lesser extent now. He's not what he once was, but he's still got one of the highest basketball IQs in the game. I'm blanking on some other elite passers in
James
the
Harden,
game.
Tyrese Halliburton.
James Harden's gotten up there. Halliburton. John loves his Halliburton. But yeah, he's definitely up there. He's definitely
good.
Yeah. Jokic is definitely top 2, top 3 in the NBA in passing. Scoring wise, like strictly scoring, that's a tougher one. I know people are saying he's got an argument to be the best scorer and passer in the league, and you can only really say that about LeBron. For me, was LeBron really looked at as ever the best scorer in basketball?
He's led the league in points per game. He's probably the most dominant force.
How many times was he a scoring champion? It was once. It was once as a tie
Yeah,
career.
but nobody looks at LeBron as a scorer. While he scores
Yeah.
points, when you think of a scorer, you think of the Kobe's that can shoot,
Yeah.
that can score on all three fronts.
Carmelo, and yeah. Kevin Durant, like that. Like that's who I kind of look at. Like, yeah, like it goes down to the argument, dude. LeBron's got the most points in NBA history. He's got to be the greatest scorer. It's an all-time award, man. Like, yes, we know LeBron's a great scorer, but do we ever look at him as one of the greatest? Especially when we go like bag for bag and what he can do at all three levels of the game and stuff like that. It you kind of see and look like. That's why people always put KD's the best scorer. And I'm looking at your list, and you don't even have KD on that list. So I'm just interested. I don't even know if Jokic. Can you make an argument Jokic is a top 5 scorer in the NBA? 100%. I'm not taking that away, but I don't know if you can make the case he's top 2 or 3. Like we really have to. We can go down the list if you want to, like, and really analyze this because it's a very interesting discussion to be had. You know what I mean?
Let's do
John,
it.
if you need a bucket right now, you do, Brandon. You need a bucket right now. Who you passing the ball to in the NBA?
This is 5-on-5 or 1-on-1?
5-on-5. Who do you want with the ball in
In the
your hand?
12 game.
You're down.
If
You're
I need
down
a
2.
bucket,
You're going for the win.
I'm taking Nikola Jokic.
Okay.
And the reason being, he doesn't need to score himself. He can do anything and is the most unstoppable cover if you want to send a double team. So I'm gonna
but I think Justin's asking about him getting the point,
Who's
like
gonna
him not
score?
passing out, like who's going
Right.
to like him scoring. That's what I think he's asking.
There's the scoring culture, and if that's what we're going off of, I'd probably go with
Like that's what I'm saying. It's like
Luka or KD. But
I would say either KD or Book.
Booker's top 4. But if I just want a bucket from anybody and I can pick one player, I'm taking Jokic. He's a 7-foot point guard with all the skill set. So here's some of the names. Nikola, you say no?
No, I said he no, I didn't say no. I didn't say no.
Good.
I did.
Is Nikola Jokic a top 5? Is Nikola Jokic a top 5 offensive player of all time? Is Nikola Jokic a top 5 offensive player of all time? I have 7 different names I'm going to give to you guys. I want to see at his peak, where does he rank among the most dynamic players on that side of the floor? First name up is Michael Jordan.
No.
MJ is the best scorer ever for his era, but
he's the greatest scorer of all time, in my opinion.
If Michael Jordan was in this era today, he'd average 35 plus.
I agree.
Let's see, average 40.
But Jokic has averaged 27. I feel like he can average 32.
Yeah, but I get that, but Michael would be doing it at 6'6",
right.
and his efficiency would also like.
Jokic is doing at 7 feet, so he's creating advantages against rim protectors who then wouldn't be able to protect the rim because they're playing him from 15 feet away from it. Yeah. So it's actually more useful to have your center be this good of an offensive threat.
Yeah, and you bring up the playmaking skill of it. And I've always had this point of, for me, I always bring up that season where he averaged 32, 8, and 8 on 50+% shooting from the field. And I always look back at that because I truly do believe if Michael was asked to be the playmaker, he could have been a highly capable playmaker. He wasn't asked, and it wasn't his duty to do that. They just told him to go get a bucket. I'm gonna go get a bucket. So I hear you on that, but I would take Michael. Yeah, because like if we're talking again back to Justin's question, who am I putting the ball? Whose hands do I want the ball in with 10 seconds left in the game, down 1 point? The only answer to me is Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Magic Johnson.
Jokic.
Oh, man. Yeah,
the recency bias, Justin. How can you say that?
No, I hear you. Because Magic was never that scorer, even though he averaged. I looked at it because I really wanted to get myself acclimated to it. He averaged 19 points per game for his career. He averaged 24 points once, 22 twice, and I think 21 another time. But he was never known as like a scorer, though. That's a tough one.
It's interesting because while Magic wasn't known as a scorer, he played in an era of less spacing, and that's part of the era-centric advantages that Jokic has over him. But at the same time, while Magic played with less shooting, he did also have late years Kareem, James Worthy, and a hell of a team around him all of those years, which helped him have the number one ranked offense very often. If Basketball Reference would actually load for me, I'd be able to tell you how often.
Yeah, but he was. I think you would agree with this too, that he was the catalyst behind that number one. Like without Magic, it doesn't go. That's because he's arguably the greatest playmaker and possibly leader in sports and NBA history. Obviously, playmaking. But that's such a freaking tough question for me, man. I can't give you an answer. I can't give you an answer. I'm sorry, because Magic, while he didn't come into the league with a good, jump shot and stuff, he did learn a set jump shot later in his career that was pretty effective. Fuck, that's so tough. That's such a tough question, guys. I know Justin answered it without any hesitation, which I was a little surprised by.
Dude, man, the guy puts up 30 and 17 in a loss.
I know, but Magic's put up hella numbers too. Like again, we don't have those numbers in front of us right now, but
I really need Basketball Reference. Like, actually,
I'm taking Magic.
The first 5 years of Magic's career, the Lakers are the best offense in 3 of those. So in transition, where Magic's the best player in NBA history, him or LeBron, I would take him. Jokic is a great transition player, right? I think the one thing that I look at with Jokic is he's a better shooter from mid-range, right? And that's what would give him the edge because he's got all-time touch. But I still think it's a toss-up because Magic at 6'10" is being guarded by point guards, and that's actually not true. He's being guarded by more perimeter players, and he can create more advantages because he can see over them. So can Jokic naturally. But I might just favor Magic here because in his era, scoring was lower than it is in the 2020s and 2010s. It's a toss-up, and for now I'll go with Magic, but I'm really being nice here because I want to say Nikola. The next name up is Larry Bird.
Okay, so Bird was a better scorer.
Was he?
Yes. Come on.
Who was the better post player? Jokic or Bird?
Well, neither of them are slouches.
It's Jokic. Come on, don't do this. Jokic is the second best post player in the league. Who's the better shooter?
You act like
the Bird.
Bird was the best shooter in the league back in the 80s. What are you talking about?
Jokic is a better shooter than Larry. And I know it's unfair because Bird played right as they introduced the three-point line, but in the playoffs, Larry took 1 3 a game and made 32% of them. Jokic is a much better shooter, I would say. And they're both, especially Jokic, he's streaky, but he is a better shooter than Larry when you're comparing the two.
People have Bird as a top 5 shooter of all time, right?
And they are wrong, in all due respect. He is not a top 5 shooter. No way. And this is paying him respect because he did pave the way for the newer generation. I'm a Larry guy, but it is not rooted in facts to say he's a top 5 shooter ever.
I'm taking Larry over Jokic. I think he's a better scorer. I think Jokic, playmaking. Listen, Bird is a freaking underrated playmaker. Go ask the
Absolutely.
expert.
I've watched him play.
I'm taking Bird.
Yep.
Plus he again. This goes back to the finished product and unfinished product, and John is only looking at what's unfinished right now. Bird was a finished product. Like, you can look at him and say, dude, look at his what he did so early on in his career too. That he went back to back MVPs.
Yeah, Jokic should have done that too.
Well, they should have, could have, would have. He didn't.
And it's amazing.
It didn't happen though. That's what I'm saying.
It was the MVP
wait. We can
look.
Magic to me is better. John, you cannot use a should or if in.
I'm not telling you he should have. He was the MVP in my eyes. It was not.
We can't do. What are you? You cannot do that. You can't live in fantasy land, John.
I'm just telling you, he was the real MVP.
I don't care.
Justin was the real MVP in 2023. Who was it?
It was Jokic, but he didn't get the vote.
Everybody knows it's Jokic, but he doesn't. If he doesn't get the vote, we can't put it down on paper.
You can't do that, man. You can't.
Okay, so you can't use the Larry Bird triple MVP debate into your argument. You
But
can't.
it happened.
Look, I understand it happened. Larry's a top 5 player of all time. I am a big Larry fan. But to me, I am sorry he was not a better scorer than Jokic. Jokic is way more dominant at the
Larry
post.
Bird went
At
into
7
a
feet,
game
260 pounds.
and dominated with his left hand.
I'm aware it's one game.
Yes,
Larry's a legend.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, so is Nikola
We're talking
Jokic,
about
just
offensive
averaging
specialty.
27
Going
points
into a
and
game
7
saying,
rebounds in the playoffs. Man, I'm really surprised you guys said Larry without hesitation, but we're really stuck on Magic.
What?
That's
What?
how
I didn't
feel
hesitate. I
Larry.
did hesitate. I gave it a good ponder. I thought about it. I was like, it was scoring, and then I gave it a go back and watch the tape. I did not say it without hesitation. Get out of here, John. See, now you're.
I said it without hesitation.
This is where your Jokic love is coming in. You're not being objective. You're not being objective right now.